really important in these situations when you play in these kind of games where you're down on troops. It's just to simplify your role.
Great play. I love it when the front rowers link up together. They put those little pass plays on, especially at the start of the game when you think he's just going to truck it in. Boom, nice play, front rower. Pull the pants down of the opposition.
That's why you don't pick our teams. Don't be picking for us, mate. Don't be locking in people we don't want to lock in. Yes, kia ora everyone. Welcome into the show. Before we kick off, bring in our crew as always. Ephraim, quickly squeeze off that colour. Get out of there. Dylan and Willie, welcome guys. What a weekend. I'm going to quickly touch on what's coming up. It's going to be Warriors chat and how good their win was. And also at the end of the show, it's going to be our predictions on the Origin team. And we'll go from there. But we're going to move over to Ephraim. What's coming up, bro? That shirt is not looking any good.
Well, this shirt is looking mean, I reckon. But I know you guys are all Queensland, but we'll get to that later. We'll start off with some news, like David Fifita, perhaps, how that situation has just been incredible. He's 3 weeks we've talked about him, and every week it's been a completely different story what we've talked about him. He's now staying with the Titans till 2026. What do you guys think about that?
Bro, get that shirt off. Honestly, man, I thought you would have more energy with that shirt on this morning and bring in our Fifita chat with a little bit more energy. But again, let's talk about Fifita. And I think, I guess it surprised a lot of people, including myself, when the news broke. I think everyone thought that it was a bit of a joke and had to kind of recheck and double check all their sources. I guess my thoughts around the Fifita change of heart. And I know people were talking about his family, but you make these decisions before you make a decision on where you're going around family. I think, he's putting some confidence in the Titans and what they're building and where they're going. I think the effort against the Cowboys, when they turned up and they worked hard for each other, and then he's got some confidence out of where they're going as a team. I really like what the Titans are doing, and we've spoken about this on the show before around how they've been tough and they're hanging in and working for each other with injuries throughout their club. So I'm guessing he's got a lot of good mates. I know Tino's a fan of his. They're obviously good mates. They obviously live close by and they hang out together. I don't know what happened with the Roosters and how it all went about. I know most probably everyone thinks that the Roosters normally get what they want when they offer people things, contracts, and we spoke about it as well. And obviously having Nick Politis down there and what he can bring to the club and being a massive figure in the game of rugby league, most probably they must be a little bit dirty on Fifita as well.
Yeah, it caught us off guard on a couple of degrees. First, Penrith were in the race and we thought they were leading it. Then it comes out St George were in discussions, but he was signed with the Roosters and it was all agreed. But then he used the opportunity to use his calling off period, which they have in the contracts, 10 days, I understand. They have a chance for the club that they're at to come in and renegotiate and make another offer, which is what they've done. I'm a bit old school where your handshake means a lot. He obviously agreed something with the Roosters, but then decided, for whatever reason, whether it was family, more money, comfortability or being around, that the Titans were for him. But I've no doubt that during all the negotiations with Penrith, St George and the Roosters, he had time to weigh up his options and assess everything and line his ducks up to make what would have been the best decision for him. So once he made it, for me, again, being old school, once you've made your decision, you stand by it. But he's decided to go and backflip on that, stay with the Roosters. That's his right, that's his decision, and good luck to him. Good luck to him. He's got another couple of years at the Gold Coast Titans. He's found some form this year that he hasn't had in the last couple of years. Maybe he's happy with that form and trying to believe that, or maybe believes that he can repeat that in the next couple of years for them, because they need him to. They need him as a franchise and as a club to do that. But yeah, that's where I said I'm a bit old school. Once you shake your hand and you say yes to something and agree it, you've got to stick with it. But
I think this is a little win for the Titans as well. I know Cherry Evans, the last time someone else done a backflip was Cherry Evans, and he did it on the Titans. Again, I think there was a cooling off period as well then. So A little win for the Titans here. But again, like you said, it all depends on the person as well, on what you stand for as a player, as a person, on the old school way of handshakes, understanding now that it's a business and it's your life that you're putting on the line, but also the person that you are when you make those agreements. Again, I'm a little bit old school as well. I would, if I make those decisions, and like you said, you have all your ducks lined up anyway, and if you make a decision, that's normally where you're going to go, because you've assessed everything that you have, you've looked at the Titans, and you've gone, okay, no, my family are happy for me to go down to the Roosters and sign down there, so I'm going to say yes to those guys. Their cooling off period kind of, it's a tough one, because that's what it's there for. It's put in place so that if players get a little bit unsettled, and the club that you're with says, oh, we can try and find some money in here, or you can talk them into staying, and that's what they've done. I think that's what happened with David Fifita. But again, the old school way is the old school way. We're in a new age now, and this is how contracts are done. A lot of it is done like that now. And you make a decision, it's still not the complete decision. You can still move on and stay with your club.
Not quite to the level of dramatics of the whole Fifita situation, but there's been a couple more re-signings just this week gone by. Jaydn Stuart to the Dragons, Mark Nicholls with the Dolphins, but most notably, probably for you, Adam, is Wade Egan with the Warriors, and also Ricky Stuart with the Raiders until 2029. So that's interesting for sure that he's got that big term extension. What do you guys think of those two?
I think that's a community thing as well for the Raiders, having Ricky Stuart and his involvement of what he does, not only around the club and on the field on game day, but also throughout the community with his charity work and the stuff that he does, but also being, I guess, a big icon down at the Canberra Raiders. He's passionate about development in some of these younger kids. He kind of reminds me of Craig Bellamy and what he likes to do with a lot of these guys. Ends up becoming a bit of a father figure, mentors them through their careers, starts them in. We've seen that with the Canberra Raiders now, that they've got a few injuries, but these young guys are coming through, and Ricky Stewart's been a big believer in these guys, which, again, he wants to be around to show them the way. Again, I guess Jaydn Stuart has been massive this year for the Dragons. Important that he's been able to stay injury free. I know he's had some niggling injuries and stuff like that. So great for them. And obviously Wade Egan, captain on the weekend, but went off pretty early. And I guess he was for me the most important player on that field before the game started, and how everything would work for the Warriors. But again, for someone that's an Australian player to commit to the Warriors, it shows and speaks high volumes of what the Warriors are doing and how much confidence he has, not only in the players around him, the coaching stuff, and the direction that the club's going. I think is really good. And obviously Mark Nicholls, a bit of a cult hero up at the Dolphins, and doing some really good things. I like his little interview after the game too. I was wondering why he actually had a mouth guard in his mouth, and I thought the same, because he's got some missing teeth. He obviously, the wife's told him to keep the mouth guard in. I thought he had some missing teeth as well, and it was great to see these guys, these tough front rowers, getting their mouth guards out and showing their teeth. You got to be proud of that, Mark Nicholls, bro. Don't worry about it, brother. That's rugby league.
Yeah, I think Mark Nicholls probably sitting down the pecking order behind the likes of Bromwich and Flegler and Jarrod Wallace, and those other two being out. He's stepped up and taken his chance, proven that he's worthy of a contract. Wayne Bennett obviously liked him, took him from South up there, and the fans love him, the game loves him. So I think he'll be a real good keep for them going forward. Jaydn Stuart has put himself back in Origin window, such as his form. So I think that's a worthy signing on the Dragons' behalf, but great reward for him and his efforts, especially this year. Wade Egan is a really important piece to the puzzle for the Warriors going forward. Whatever they do at halfback, I think will be around complementing Wade Egan, because he's shown in the last couple of years how important he is. We'll talk a little bit more about the Warriors and what Paulie Roach did yesterday in the absence of Wade Egan, but they've got to try and keep him on the field as much as they can. He's another important signing. Ricky Stuart, as Blair said, he's one for the eye on the future. He's done a great job with this current crop, with the likes of Papali'i and Joseph Tapani. Those guys, he's taken them to the top individually, and help them reach the peak in their careers. Elliot Whitehead as well. But he's got the likes of Kyle Weeks and Ethan Strange, Matt Tomoko. Those young kids are going to be the future. And for them to know that he's going to be there for a little while to guide them through that future, and if he is that father figure for him, it's going to be really important that they stick by him and they have the buy-in and they continue putting in the building blocks to the foundations they're putting in now.
For sure. Yeah, and Adam, you compared him before to the other father of rugby league, Wayne Bennett, who has also had some bit of tumultuous news, I guess you could say, where everyone knows that he's signed for the Rabbitohs, but he said no. But it seems like now for sure, yes, he will be at the Rabbitohs on a 3-year deal until 2027. Can he fix them?
Definitely. Yeah, if there's anyone that can help the Rabbitohs get back to the heights that they are capable of, I think Wayne Bennett is the man. Wayne Bennett does a lot of his stuff behind the scenes. He's well connected with everyone in the game and outside of the game as well. He would have, been speaking to, I guess, Russell Crowe, who's a big part of that place as well, but also the CEOs down at South Sydney, and also players as well at the club. Latrell Mitchell, Cody Walker, especially those guys, because they play a big part in what the Rabbitohs do. So I definitely think he's going down there. What a great signing for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, but also I guess he brings the knowledge of, and his experience of, how to win, how to change cultures, how to bring the best out of players, and the club needs someone like Wayne right now. If anyone can do it, it's Wayne.
He just has that aura. He's just Wayne Bennett. And he took him to a grand final already. He's the master coach, and everybody hangs on every word that he says. Players, administrators, coaches, owners. We talk about Russell Crowe. No doubt he'll be leaning on his advice for whatever. And Wayne's one of those coaches that he coaches the team. Nobody in the board, ownership, whatever, will tell him what team or how he's got to run his side. That's his side. And it worked last time. He took him to the grand final. They were ever so close to winning that grand final, but success anyway. And he'll turn him around. He'll definitely get him to turn around. And it's crazy that at 75 he's signing a 3-year deal. That's the crazy bit for me. But he's still youthful in his approach. He's still energetic and he still loves what he does. He's passionate about bringing the young fellas through, and he's still passionate about caring for his players. So age is merely a number for him.
I'll tell you something even crazier than coach signing a 3-year deal at 75 is the rumours that the 2 new expansion teams that are on the horizon could be joining the NRL as early as 2028, which is 3 years from now. So
timing.
There we go.
Timing's everything.
That is crazy.
Timing's everything for Wayne Bennett. And again, like I said earlier, he knows people not only in the game but outside the game. He would be talking to Peter V'landys and all those guys in the NRL, knowing what's coming ahead and where the forecasting is. And like you said, when the new expansion team comes in, where do you reckon they're going? Willie, where do you reckon they're going? Wayne Bennett's that person that they rely heavy on to get to start clubs, which he's done with the Redcliffe Dolphins, to bring clubs back to where they need to be, South Sydney. And then when a new club comes in, Wayne Bennett, he's off there as well. So I think that's how it all works out for Wayne Bennett. He's the master of everything. He's well connected, and he is a person that not only people in the game lean on, people outside the game lean on for advice.
Yeah, he's done it twice in his career so far, starting a new franchise. Did it at the Broncos in their inception. Did it for the Dolphins to get them started. Look what he's put in place. So, yeah, no doubt that they've got an eye on him getting the new franchise, wherever that is, getting them off to the right start possible as far as recruitment and putting the foundations in. A little bit like what they've done at the Dolphins. Put him in place to get it started. His assistant's Christian Wolf, who from the outset was always going to take over from him. So you get it started, Wayne. Our progression plan is to put the coach in place. He's going to take your lead, but then we'll let it run from there. But you just help get us started. So, 3 years' time after his house contract's done, new franchise, Wayne, come get us started again for someone else. Yeah, quite likely.
Can he be coaching at 80?
I think he can coach as long as he wants to. And,
like you said, it's merely a number for Wayne. And
10 years ago, would people would be saying, "Is he can he coach at 75?"
Yeah.
He's still doing it with a load of success too.
With the word on the expansion teams, so obviously that seems like the front runner might be the Papua New Guinea team, along with the North Sydney Bears perhaps moving to Perth. Rumblings of Christchurch. Where would you guys put an expansion team if it were to join in 2028?
Oh, most would be a bit biased. Most would be Christchurch. That's just being biased, for New Zealand. But I think, the smarter decision is most probably, and I know that the NRL would be knowing these things when it comes to, I guess, expansion of the game, hence why they went to Vegas. I'm thinking PNG is most probably the logical place that they'll end up taking it to. Again, it's hostile in PNG. Do they move that? Where do they base that team out of? But I definitely think that's where they go. So I think most probably basing it somewhere in Australia is mostly what they're thinking. I don't know, but I think that makes more sense to me around the logics around what PNG. It's their number one sports. There are a lot more PNG players in the competition now. They play in the Queensland Cup. And the Host Plus up there, so they're already part of the rugby league, and I think it just makes sense that the PNG team come into the expansion of the NRL. Where do they base them? I don't know.
By all accounts, they're going to go to 18 first, so there's going to be one team possibly in 2028, and all the arrows are pointing to PNG at the moment. All the noise is around them. Peter V'landys has come out this week to say that it's not nailed on. But when the Australian government are throwing 600 million, that's the figure that they're throwing at trying to help them get started. That's a pretty fair investment and safeguard that they're going to have some success. Yeah, the PNG Hunters who play in the Queensland Cup, they won a grand final a couple of years ago, so they've had some success. It's their number one sport. But you look at a new franchise and what they can do as a whole package. Can they get sold-out crowds every single week? Possibly. What sort of return are they going to give TV-wise? How much are people going to watch? That's what they'll be doing in their research to bring the new club back, and what can they give back to the league and to the structure and to the franchises. And those will be questions that the other NRL teams will be asking as well. Perth, that's been in the argument for a long, long time. They've been wanting to go. It's the National Rugby League, but they're not national. They want to go national. They want to go across country, try and grow the game. I'm with Blair. I think there's a lot of rewards in having a team in Christchurch. We look at the number of young Kiwi kids, boys and girls now, that go across to Australia and have to ply their trade, because the Warriors can't keep everyone. The Warriors can't keep every single player. But if they can go to Christchurch, I'm sure that'll give them a strong team and base. And part of their application is they're going to have a strong women's team as well as the men. So, I throw my hat in the Christchurch one, but by all accounts, it's all looking like PNG at this moment in time.
I would love the game to be growing more in New Zealand as well. I think, we can't expect to live off what the Warriors are doing forever, and we never know, after last year's performance in the start of this year, how they're going to end up going. The more we can have rugby league in New Zealand, the more opportunities we can create for our kids and our fans and our supporters. And there's a massive growth of fans here in New Zealand. We've seen every game at Go Media Stadium sold out. They've got a new stadium coming in at Christchurch. I just want to see the numbers grow in rugby league because, I'm passionate about the game, but I'm passionate about our kids getting opportunities and the kids that want to stay here in New Zealand, opportunities to play the game that they love, but also stay at home and be connected to their families. So Christchurch, hopefully there's a stadium. Well, there's a stadium there, but hopefully there's a team coming your guys' way very soon.
There's a big rugby league history down there too. There's a lot of famous rugby league people that have come out. Mark Broadhurst, Quinton Pongia from Christchurch, Frank Endicott, the great Kiwi coach, Warriors coach, he's from down there. And even right now, Jordan Ricky.
Dave Kidwell's down there too.
Davey Kidwell's from Christchurch. Jermaine Isaaku from Christchurch. So there's a lot of players and a lot of people have come through that system. So there'll be more down there. So that they could hold a team down there.
You heard it here first, everyone. Adam, Blair, Willie, they're saying go join your local club. New Zealand Rugby League's coming to the big stage. So go do it. Anyways, we're gonna go move on to some real exciting things. I wore the jersey. It was the first game of the Women's Origin.
That is the women's one too, isn't
Thursday.
it? Oh, no?
Aren't they the same? I don't know. Anyway,
Another brought jumper.
listen. Just because you're a Queensland fan, no need to be salty. That the Blues took it home 22-12 in Game 1 of Women's Origin. You guys watched the game, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Thursday. Normally, obviously, there's NRL on Thursday night, but it was the Origin, which was a great spectacle for the women's game. I watched the first half. I'll be really honest. I watched the first half, and I thought, man, they were dynamic, the Blues. I think the women there and the play, especially for, like, they haven't played at that intensity yet for the season. They're playing in their local competitions. I think the Queensland girls have just come off their season. I thought they may have been a little bit more prepared. They did come home strong, but I think, you know, the athleticism and the dynamics of what those women did in the first half of the Blues just blew them off the park, and they just couldn't hang in there with them. Some of their tries, speed from out wide. There was a misdirect kick. I think it went from the right-hand side of the Queensland over to the left, and the winger catches it and runs the length. She had to beat a couple of players, but, man, they are quick, they're strong, they're fast. It's great to watch.
Yeah, there were some worrying signs for Queensland early doors. They had the first chance after about 2 minutes to try and score a try, and they were putting the pressure on New South Wales defensive line on the goal line. But New South Wales just responded, went up the other side of the field. I thought Jamie Chapman was outstanding. Big, fast winger. She just flew down that right-hand flank, and they blew out to a scoreline that just posted too much scoreboard pressure on Queensland. They fought their way back, and full credit to Queensland for creating the fight back, but New South Wales, they deserved to win. Had Queensland come back and won, it would have been great. I would have loved that, but I don't think they would have deserved it. Throughout the whole game, New South Wales were the better side, and it was a wonderful way to start the 3-match series, but a great way to start a real festival weekend of rugby league.
Yeah. You can best believe I'll be watching the NRLW Titans just to see Jamie Chapman run riot for the whole season. Well done, Jamie. Well done.
Really? What is this?
We'll save the
I
rest.
wasn't going to say anything, but anyways, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Anyways,
okay.
Raiders versus Bulldogs was the first NRL game.
Oh, we're
of the
talking
weekend
NRL now.
on Friday. It was the Raiders 24-20. Even despite going down 2 men at one point, they managed to pull it off. Must have been that Ricky Stuart re-signing boost that they took on.
Yeah, well, I think if you looked at the weekend's games over Magic Round, we all highlight, and we would have highlighted the Roosters and Sharks game being 1v2 and going up, those two teams going after each other. But I also liked this Raiders Bulldogs game as well. I thought Raiders have what they've built consistency with their team, young guys, Ethan Strange and what he's doing, Kaya Weeks. I think they're a really strong competitive team. They had a bye. Really wanted to see how they come off the back of a bye and see if they can still keep that consistency. I thought they struggled at the start. The Bulldogs have been really good, finding their identity, and I know we've spoken about them before and what they try to do, but I just think at the end of the day, that it was a 94 team in the dressing rooms, a massive occasion, not only with Ricky Stuart and what he's done with his signing and the community he's bringing in, but the 94 team was in there, and I guess obviously a massive shout out to Loredella, who's obviously a big part of that, and also Q, who you and I know, and that guy is. I got to train alongside him. I've got to meet him. I've got to listen to him, and man, that fella was passionate. But he really put us, Kiwis on the map and what he did for the game. But in 1994, for that 1994 team, I know they spoke highly of Q and what he brought to the team, and. He's a loved man by everyone, so he's sorely missed in the game of rugby league. So I think part of that as well, the emotion, I guess the intent, and then also seeing those boys at the end of the game doing the haka to just pay respect to what he created at that club and what he's done for the game.
Yeah, it was a real show of resilience, this one, for the Raiders, because it wasn't so long ago that when they were in games and they were behind, or even when they were up front at halftime, they were getting mowed down. They just couldn't finish games not so long ago. But they flipped the script. They came back from behind against Manly a couple of weeks ago, and they've had to do the same this weekend, as you said, without Josh Papali'i, who could be in some trouble for that hip drop, and then Jordan Rapinoe went off, down to 11 men. That second half showing when Hudson Young scored, I thought they really showed a great bit of spirit and spine to say they're a different team now. And Ricky Stewart's flipped the script with them. It's taken some of the young guys to come in, but they just play with so much energy. I thought Ethan Strange, the way he ran them around the park and his try that he set up for Hudson Young, outstanding piece of play. But they're finding some form. They started the season really well. I think they were 2 for 2. And they're hitting a really nice patch here. The Dogs still having their problems with the ball. They're, at their left side have been so potent, but look so clunky this week. Yeah. And a lot of times when Viliame Kikau got the ball, he looked devoid of ideas and was getting shut down. A couple of moments, there was one moment there when he passed the ball to Josh Adokar. He may have scored, but he just couldn't get the ball out for whatever reason, whether he just wasn't able to see it or caught the ball wrong. But they're not flowing as well as they were a couple of weeks ago. So a bit of work ahead for the Dogs. They've got some ingredients and they know it's there. Just got to get it fixed up and try and gel again.
Well, teams are now, and we've spoken about it every time we're on the show about that left side, and they're identifying Viliame Kikau and what he brings to the team. So they're putting a little bit more pressure on him. So that's why he's trying to look for answers rather than just tucking the ball under. He is so strong and hard to defend. He's got a sharp as left foot. Sometimes you just got to be happy with just getting down and getting a quick play of the ball. So I think sometimes, like you said, they were a bit clunky. He was trying to create with his ball playing skills rather than creating with the speed that he runs at, with his footwork and getting down and playing the ball. So I think if he can get back to just getting your job done, which is sometimes hard when he has the space and he is a creative back rower, but his strengths are his running game and then coming off that left foot and ducking down and getting a quick play of the ball or creating opportunities for offloads rather than doing it post line or pre-line, do it post, go through the tackle, make the contact, use your feet, then look for the offload. So teams are doing work on Viliame Kikau and that left-hand side because they know how strong they are. But, it's a great, I think the confidence for me for around the Canberra Raiders, obviously they're 7-6. They've been trying to tamper with a few different options there, but obviously Ethan Strange has been from the get-go and he's having a great season this far, and then Ko Weeks has come in and seeing what he can deliver, and he's like the last 2 games I think he's been outstanding for them, and he's obviously building some confidence around the middle of the park but also players around him as well.
What happens to Fogarty when he comes back?
Fogarty's still a long way away. But again, I guess you got to find places for these guys, but it's a great headache for coaches. It's similar to, obviously, we'll talk about the Warriors later, but similar to what they're doing. Those guys, it's confidence in the players that you have on the field to get the job done, and he's one of those guys that that if you have an injury, that he can get in and get a job done. So for coaches, it's great to have that, I guess, that depth. But these guys are getting a job done now, so I think, at the moment till he's back, then he's your man.
A guy who I love bringing up every week is Reid Marnie. Finally got his moment of karma at the end of the game.
Okay.
When he knocked the ball. I just thought it was funny how, because every time we talk about him, he's the grub, and we're always like, oh, man, why are you always instigating and doing that? And then today, or on the weekend, it was him knocking it on that cost them maybe a chance to score a try. Anyways.
Bro, leave him alone.
Hey, I like him. It's you guys that are usually the sad ones to him. I like when he instigates, but maybe that's just me.
You say your bit, bro. You say your bit.
The Broncos versus the Sea Eagles was next. 13-12 to the Broncos. Jock Madden's field goal was the difference. What do you reckon? Is he gonna be that long-term replacement for Adam Reynolds at this point?
I think so. I think he's doing a great job that Adam Reynolds hasn't been out. He's nice and calm.
He sits in the front seat.
Yeah, he's confident in his ability. He directs the team around. This was a tough game, and a game that it could have gone either way here. And Jock Madden, obviously, with 6 minutes to go, hits a droppy, which is perfect, set up well, takes the opportunity, hits it over. And those are the moments for sevens and guys that are coming in to take the place of Adam Reynolds, is you have to ice it. And I think he done a really good job. The Broncos weren't at their best. They weren't at their best. And neither were the Seagulls. They're a bit up and down as well with their performances. And if you look through their team, they've got a classy team as well. But I think, the Broncos, they lost Payne Haas. Then, miraculously, he come back on the field. So that was a bit strange for me. They had to carry him off, then comes back on the field. So some concerning things there for New South Wales. But I definitely thought the Broncos, I just like the way that obviously Cobbo was special at the back doing what he does. He's strong with his carries. And then they come up against, obviously, the Seagulls, who are both teams trying to stay in the fight for the 8, that's for sure.
Yeah, I thought Selwyn Cobbo was outstanding, especially to start with. At fullback, an interesting side note out of this is listening to the commentators that he hasn't agreed a contract yet with the Broncos. And I think he said before, and he showed on the weekend, that he wants to play fullback. But there's no way that he's going to take Reece Walsh's place.
Yeah, I like him at centre.
I like him at centre.
He does a mean job at centre as well.
Me too. I love him there. But, whether he's using that as a selling point to get himself on the open market and test what other teams may offer him. But we'll have to wait and see. He'll demand quite a bit, I dare say. But I think he'll be a great centre for Brisbane just to try and keep it. I think it'll be good for him to stay there. But he was great to start the game with. Manly blew so many chances at the back end. They had about 3 or 4 chances to ice the game and take it away from the Broncos, but drop balls, missed time runs. Their halfback combination has been very, very good so far, but Brooks was a little bit off on some moments at the back end of the game. But well done to Jock Madden. He just needs time. He needs time out there, needs to play. Had the promise at the Tigers. Wasn't given as much time as he probably wanted or deserved. Going to the Broncos, sitting in behind Adam Reynolds every day, take your opportunity to learn off one of the greats in the game, one of the greats in your position. Then when you step up, take every opportunity to learn about the game, managing, icing those moments when it comes to being called upon to drop kick that winning point. But then how do you manage the game from then on? Those are all going to be experiences that will be invaluable for him.
How do you guys like Tolu Kola at fullback, obviously replacing injured Trebojevic?
I think he's played there internationally too, eh?
Yep.
So I like what he brings from the back. He's a strong carrier of the ball. He's fast. He's elusive. I guess the one thing that they do miss is obviously the passing game. But again, like every position, it's time in the saddle. It's time with repetition after repetition. So if you're not used to doing those things, you're most probably not going to do that. But I guess sometimes it's just like a band-aid effect for the fullback till your actual fullback comes back. But this guy can cover that fullback position. And I think, guess while Tommy's out, he's got some opportunities to work on his game, to try and work on his passing. But the way he carries the ball and the speed that he has, elusive, strong, great, I guess a player to fill in for Tommy while he's out.
Speaking of strong and elusive, that we'll move on to the Titans versus the Knights, and I'm sure everyone wants to talk about David Armstrong. Got his hat-trick. Looked pretty incredible. I mean, they lost Ponga and they've won every game since then with him at fullback.
Oh, it's his speed and I guess his knowledge around the middle of the park. And it's important as a fullback. I know he's played wing before as well, but it's important as a fullback that you just understand the game and where it's heading as well. You've got to do so much, video work and knowing what's coming, preparation, because you also need to know who the kickers are. You need to organise your line, but you also got to make the most of your opportunities. You've got to be able to be fast like him. You've got to have skill as well at fullback, and you've got to be a good talker. So he obviously has all of those, and he's been outstanding since Kalen Ponga's been out, and he's done some hat-trick. I just like how quick he is. Like, you can't substitute speed. He's dangerous when he's around the ball. He's hard to handle when he's around the middle of the park as well with his speed. So it challenges defensive systems all the time, and it also challenges the middle part of the field because there's some bigger boys, bigger bodies in there. You have to work really hard. If you don't get your body in front of this guy, he'll run straight through you and score tries. Hat-trick, outstanding for the Knights. I think it was one of those games, again, it could have gone either way, which has been awesome in the competition, that you can't really predict who's going to win the game. And these guys are just playing the best that they can on the day. It's whoever turns up to execute the game plan wins. And I think the Knights are doing a great job. They're 4 straight wins. Got very lucky at the end with the no try, but you take that. I think they're going into a bye, so that was worth 4 points for those guys. So everyone needs a bye, and the bye comes at the right time for a lot of these teams. But it's crucial that game that you play before the bye is to try and win, because you go away feeling a lot more better about yourself and the way that you played.
Going into the game, I gave the Titans little to no hope with what they're missing. No Foran, no Sami, some influential big guns, no AJ Brimson. So I gave them very little chance of winning this one. So to be in the contest right up until the end says a lot about their growth and how far they've come under Des Hasler. Would have been easy for teams to lose your opening 6 or 7 games and then just capitulate. But they've stuck with it. He's kept the belief within the group. No doubt the news of Dave Fifita backflipping and staying would have been a big positive bit of news for them. But yeah, David Armstrong, outstanding. I think his anticipation and reading of the game is what is setting him apart from a lot of other fullbacks. You can have all the tools in the world, but he knows how to use what tools he's got and be in the right position. 2 long-range tries, but then a try on the sweep, getting in the right position, playing powerful. They had to overcome a little bit of adversity. Silly play from Jackson Hastings to push and shove whilst in possession of the ball, and then create an argument and give the referee no decision other than to give him a yellow card. Because the referee was right. He had spoken to him only moments before, but he took it too far. And I understand Adam O'Brien's disappointment in his halfback, because in the absence of Ponga, to just leave it up to those young kids, he needs to be out there. One piece of play that I did like was right at the start when Leo Thompson just plays a nice tip ball to Saifiti to make that break. Yeah. Great play. I love it when the front rowers link up together. They put those little pass plays on, especially at the start of the game when you think he's just going to truck it in. Boom. Nice play. Front rower. Pull the pants down of the opposition, and another front row. Probably a little bit too far. Saifiti's looking down the other end. I don't want to run this far, but great piece of play.
I think, that was a great play from the middle forwards, because again, you've got to add a lot of tools to your kit when you're a middle player these days. You've got to be able to carry the ball strong. You've got to have feet. You've got to be able to have an offload, and you've got to be able to pass short, but also pass at the back to your halves as well. So for guys like them to back themselves, to be able to play short, you obviously practice. And that's what they put the time in. So you have confidence in your ability, but you also have confidence in the person that passes you the ball. Because sometimes there's middle forwards that I used to play with and think, I don't know if I want to be running off him because I don't know if he's going to give me the ball or not.
No, that's right.
And if he gives me the ball, it could be an hospital ball. So repetition, practice and training these things then pays off in the game, and then the coach goes, hey, I saw those guys doing 10 minutes of extra work after training, and they practice those passes. So you're allowed to go out there and put that stuff into play, and when it comes off, oh, hallelujah, especially through the middle of the park, and middle forwards don't score too many tries. I know that for a fact. So when you see a fellow front rower scoring tries, and there's some front rowers scoring some tries at the moment, man, big ups to those guys. They are becoming the thing of the NRL this year, front rowers scoring tries. So good work, fronties. Go after it.
The Knights may have got the win, so that's good, but there was a cost. Bradman Best, and also a cost for my beloved Blues. Bradman Best seems to have picked up a hamstring injury. We're not quite sure on the severity of it yet. But after already losing Ponga, now they're losing another pretty gun player in their backline. Could this spell, is this going to be the end to their good period without Ponga if he can't come back, or are they just building without people?
No, I don't think so. I think like every club, when you got injuries, you back the guys that are coming in to get the job done. Armstrong, for example, who would have thought that he could go away and play in what he's delivered on the stage at the minute with his 3 games and the way that he's getting more confidence in each and every week. So I don't think this will affect him. Yes, he's a strike player. I think it affects most of the New South Wales more than the. I'm just saying that just because I don't like New South Wales. I think it'll affect them more than it affects the Newcastle Knights because again, there's pathways, there's depth, there's trust. You've got to put someone there to get the job done, and that's what they've done going on. But I think, again, it adds to the issues of hamstring injuries through the competition and for a lot of those top echelon of players, Willie.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have that next man up attitude. Next person to put on the jersey will have to step in and do a job. And some big boots to fill. He's a big loss for them, there's no doubt about that. But yeah, he's been in big form for them. He's been powerful, he's been fast, devastating, and I actually had him in my New South Wales side, and if they're going to be waiting for the results of those scans to come back to see what the severity is of that injury. But yeah, tough luck on the Blues. But yeah, hamstring injuries and the injuries, an interesting one when we spoke about this last week, but yeah. Something else I forgot to speak about was some of the changes in the rules. The 6 again has had an effect in the game and keeping the game going, and that's adding to the fatigue factor. Keeping the game in play and very little stoppages now. That's adding to the fatigue factor. It'd be interesting to see if that's having an effect on some of the injury toll and some of the wear and tear on the body, that the fact that the game is more continuous now than it's ever been. There are hardly any scrums. The stoppages are coming when there's tries or penalties. Other than that, the game's in full flow. And you could be defending 4 sets in a row. And if a referee decides to go 6 again, 6 again, 6 again, that's telling on the body.
Well, that's what teams are trying to do now these days too, Willie, is keep the ball in play. It's a war of attrition out there. It's whoever's going to crack first. It's building pressure. It's kicking long, defending really well, and you're staying in the arm wrestle. When they talk about the arm wrestle, that's the arm wrestle. It's not kicking the ball out. It's seeing who breaks first. And again, if the time of ball and play is a lot more than the resting, then that's what could happen as well, as you're causing a lot of stress on these players. The game's going fast, the ball's in play, and if you're not making like a big break or something, and then you make a big break all of a sudden, there could be an opportunity for hamstring injuries as well. So the game's quickening up, we've said that before, but also the time of ball and play is staying in a lot more longer because teams are playing that way now. They're not trying to kick the ball out. They're trying to beat the opposition with just consistently putting in the corners and making them work their butts off getting off the try line. So that could be a little bit of an issue there as well.
Last week when we were previewing Magic Round, we said our game of the round was most probably the Sharks versus the Roosters and got our predictions, and me and Adam were the 2 correct ones. We picked the Sharks. That's all I'm saying. The Sharks got it done. They're staying top of the table, so maybe I do know 1 or 2 things about rugby league, but how about that game? 68 total points in that one.
Yeah, well, you got the right colour shirt on the Sharkies, or that similar colours. Again, I think that 68 points is massive, and even if you win that game, you're thinking, you let in 30 points defensively as well. So there's obviously some work-ons defensively for both teams because 68 points is a lot of points scored, but. Again, I thought Nicho Hynes was a big part of it. We're coming to Origin. He's been a lot of talk about Nicho and if he gets in the position to play, what he can do, but also what he's been able to create through the last. I guess he missed last week and they've been able to kick on without him. I just think I feel like when I'm watching him, he's so just casual and precise with where he wants to go, and it's like he's got a bit of spiders on and no one wants to tackle him, and he's got time with the ball to play his shape. But I guess they're working well as a team. That allows him to do those things. The middle forwards are doing a great job. Tom Hazelton, again, I'm talking about front rowers, scoring tries. Colt Hero, bro, keep scoring tries because you're the man. And I think through their forward pack, they're doing enough for those guys to be able to play their shape out wide. The Roosters, again, I don't know if they can attack. We all know that. But to let in that many points with the side that they have again, like we said, it was going to be the game of the round, and I think everyone was watching this one, and I thought, they put on a show at Magic Round for everyone to watch.
Yeah, I think they answered some questions, the Roosters, about themselves. Going into the game, they were 168 points for, I think, in the last 3 games. Some questions that their defence hadn't been tested, got tested this week in a big way. Nico Hines was a big one to ask a lot of those questions. But I think with the Sharks, they're playing a lot of complementary football across the park. Talk about Tom Hazelton. Their other middle forwards are playing really, really strong. The try by Fifita, where he carries 4 people over the line, spins out and finds a try line. Just the strength of him. And then you play out, we've spoken about their wingers, Kaolito, outstanding. Outstanding, set up a try there for Mulitalo, and then Katoa scores another try. They're just, everyone across the park is doing their bit. And full credit to Craig Fitzgibbon for what he's got his team doing and how he's got them playing. Yeah, you'd be disappointed that they've conceded 30, but they did enough to walk away with the win. But Trent Robinson will be more disappointed, not losing, but in conceding 38 points. Score 30, you should walk away with the win. But conceding that many would be really, really disappointing in them. But yeah, they've got a fair bit of work to do defensively. They can trust that they can score points, the Roosters. They've shown that they've got to defend it if they're going to be a title-challenging team.
You like the, we talk about those front rows scoring tries. I think not too many teams are running that block shape out wider. Adam Fanua-Blake does it a lot, and he actually normally scores tries, and I think that's where he's got a lot of his tries around there. Tom Hazelton's now, I think someone else like Junior Paulo kind of run those shapes. Is there, obviously they practice those things. Do you like the front rowers running out wider?
I do. Especially when you've got someone like Tom Hazelton, 6'3", 6'4", big tall man near the line.
There's 4 people on him.
He just falls over.
Yeah.
He's a big, tall, lanky fella. Anywhere close to the line, 2 metres out, if you're going legs or even off the ball, he's just got to reach out and fall down. And that's why he's got 5 tries this year. I love that play to get him out. We spoke about how defenders, especially on the line, are defending A, B, C pretty tight. You get him out, one defender, and he's either going to stress the 4-man, or you play out the back, or you find that 1-on-1 for him. 3, 2-on-1, he's happy.
Well, if you run that block shape inside that back row, it's a 1-on-1 with the half, who's a smaller defender. So if you got guys like Hazelton, Paulo, Talakai, you know who I would like to see run those shapes is the Broncos. Payne Huss, Xavier Willison, Ben Takura when he gets an opportunity out there. Petty Carrigan, those guys. But I think whatever their shape is, it's working
Cowboys
for them.
as well.
Cowboys, Tamalolo, I think he used to kind of run those plays as well. They got, Jordan McLean out there. You know what I mean? So I think there's an opportunity for a lot of teams to be running this shape. And I know, I when I was down in Melbourne, that's a long time ago. When I was back rower, we used to run that shape on a smaller half. 2009, when we ended up going to the grand final, we were running that shape a lot on the half and identifying smaller defenders, whether it be just a 1-on-1 or a try or an offload, or creating momentum for the next play. So the teams that are using that really well have been really effective, and it's normally the front rower sitting at the back because, again, you don't think they're going to get a ball. Because if it's run really well and it's perfectly timed and you're not blocking someone or getting in the way and you're running through the line, it's normally a 1-on-1 opportunity and close to the line, hard to stop. I like it.
Well, going back to that, so what are some of the reasons why more teams don't actually play that shape?
Oh, I guess everyone has their own systems and structures, and they work within what they have and what the ability of the players that they have around. But I think it's a great play. It's a great play to be able to set up. I think if you can set that up for your players, it's good. I think, everyone plays a different style of football, and I guess the Warriors do that. They're also, obviously now, the Sharkies are doing that. So everyone kind of runs similar plays. It's just who and where are the field positions you want to run it on. And they've identified that the weaker defenders are the halves, and they're putting bigger players around there, and they're scoring tries off there. So I think whatever suits the style and the structure of your team they'll play the way that it suits the group of players that you have.
Tempo of the game, who you've got playing for you, halfbacks, how they want to play when they want to get the ball. And Cronulla played a little bit differently at times to get it to their big edges. So, it's personnel as well as what the coaches want and what they see by design.
Next game was the Cowboys versus the Rabbitohs. Of course, going into this one, either way, unless it was a draw, one of the teams was going to snap a massive losing streak, and it just so happened to be the slightly smaller losing streak they got snapped, the Cowboys. The Rabbitohs continue on in complete and utter strife. I mean, we don't have to spend too much time speaking about these guys because everyone was pretty negative on them, but
it wasn't a pretty game. It wasn't a pretty game to watch. A lot of errors from the Cowboys. They were lucky to even still stay in this game. Again, we know that they can attack, and they've got some strike players all over the field, and they can score points. Tom Jaydn still pleading his case, and even more so now that Munster's could be out of the team, that he's right in the mix to play Origin again, or be a part of the Origin team, because I know he sits in and around that space. But again, like you said, one of these teams had to win. One of them, and I don't think for the Cowboys, I guess what it does, it just gives you a week of less stress for not only the coaches but the players as well. So it takes off the pressure for a week, and then you're back on the field and you have to try and recreate what you just done the previous week to win a game, because they weren't at their best. They haven't been at their best, and there's been a lot of other teams like that as well. Again, Rabbitohs, everyone's kind of just let the Rabbitohs go now, because no one knows what they're going to do when they turn up and how they're going to play. I guess they're looking for just someone to take the game by the throat and go after it. You know, they can't always rely on Latrell Mitchell. There's a few other leaders out there. The person I like and I want to give him a mention is Tallis. I think he's doing a really good job. Must be not getting too much time, but I like what he does. He carries the ball strong. He's got good feet. He's tough. Both teams are just trying to find ways to win games. And when you're struggling for form and you're trying to find some consistency, you take any win when it's given to you.
Sometimes when you have a game like this, or you're in a position that these two are in, you're trying not to lose. Sometimes you're not trying to win, you're just trying not to lose.
Yeah.
And and that forces you to play negatively at times, and you're trying to play safe, and you overthink things, and you play under stress rather than just relaxing and do what you do and do what you do well. And I thought that was the case in this one. Neither team wanted to lose the game, rather than chase the win and be the dominant one and really put the opposition under pressure, just trying to overcome the situation that they're in and not lose another game. We've lost enough. We've lost enough games up to this. I don't want to lose this one, rather than, hey, let's go chase the win. There's a difference in mindset and how you approach it, and that was the case in this one. And hopefully for the Cowboys, they've got that out of the way now. Then they can focus on trying to get another win. South Sydney, unfortunately, are still in that position.
There was one other team that was also on a big losing streak going into this weekend, but they're called the Warriors, and they actually did. They actually broke their losing streak too against who better than to beat than the Panthers.
Yeah, well, you just heard Willie speaking about chasing the win. When you're under pressure, you can't afford, when you're playing against the Penrith Panthers, to turn up and just play negative. You have to go after the opposition, and this is what the Warriors did, I think, from the get-go. Again, the first most probably set wasn't the best. Kicked it out on the full. Penrith go down there, they score a try, they sit back, and it's mostly in their minds, they're going, oh, not this again. But the credit to those guys and the players in the team that they turned that around. They went after the Penrith Panthers, which they had to. Their back five are some of the best back five in the competition, right up there with the Cronulla Sharks and what they do. Dylan Edwards has been a big performer. Luai was really good for them as well. And at some stages there, I think, fans would have been on the edge of your seat most of the game, because some of the tries you thought that the Penrith scored, that they could have been stopped or they made a wrong decision. But you kind of let that slip when you know that they're pretty much depleted of players and in and out of positions. But a credit to all the Warriors players. I think the young boys that come in, Paulie Roach was enormous for the Warriors. 2 minutes of NRL time this year, and then comes on and plays the biggest minutes he's played in a long time and did not look out of place. Loved his service off the ground both ways. He didn't overplay his hand. He just got his job done, which was get the ball to where you needed to get to. If you play short, you play short early. Defensively, be strong through the middle. He was whacking guys, and they had to collectively as a team. I thought Dylan Walker through the middle to replace Tohu Harris, we needed someone like him to have a big game, and I thought he did with his skill and his options around. But I also like the way that they attack both sides. We've spoken about it before, that their predictability with Sean being on the right-hand side and all the teams just marking up on them. They scored tries on both sides yesterday, which was good. I think, Tamati being able to swing around. We also spoke about Tamati and him when he's playing his best rugby league, it's when he's running the ball, playing some football. He had to stand up yesterday, and I thought he did really well. I thought he was a big part of, the game. I thought Chance was outstanding at 6. Always was going to be a running 6, but the options to run and then the options to pass and have some try assist was outstanding. And then Tane to Opiki, I thought, man, we've seen what Tane can do for the NRL this year, for the Warriors this year, and he's a great replacement to put in the back. He's safe, he's reliable. Yes, he's a smaller body, but he loves getting busy and working really hard. Scored a nice try, and then had to kick a conversion from pretty much nearly the sideline to go and take the lead, and he iced it. And I know that his partner's about to have a baby, and I know he was in doubt. Hence why Ben Farr was on board as well as 18th man. So, man, what a enormous win for the Warriors up against the Penrith Panthers, who have class all over the field, who could have taken the game to a draw and gone into golden point. And the fans would have been happy if the Warriors lost their game after the performance they put in. But to win the game, man, the fans were stoked with that, that's for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. There was a couple of reasons why I thought this was an important one for the Warriors. Their chances of making the playoffs were hanging by a lifeline had they not got this one. But then with all the changes and the young fellas stepping up, just said so much about him. I thought Ali Leotoa, Adam Pompey, Tane Tuopiki, Chance and Tamaiti really stood up and took the ball by the horns. There's an element sometimes when you're in that position that you need an opposition like the Panthers to be off. And this has taken no credit away from the Warriors. But the Panthers were off. They played laterally, coming out of their own line. They did a lot of things you don't see them do. How often do you see James Fisher-Harris get the ball on last play and try and throw it out and it ends up in touch? Never, not from the Panthers. Excuse me. But they forced them into that. And sometimes when you score a try early, you feel like, oh, all right, we're going to cruise today. And I think there was a bit of complacency in the Panthers, and the Warriors needed to and did it really well to pounce on it and make them count. Talking about them playing both sides of the ball, I thought both halfbacks did a really good job of playing nice and straight. We're just talking about back rowers getting inside, 3 men getting inside the halfbacks. Both Barnett and
Ford
and Jackson Ford
and Jakey Laban
ran hard lines off the halfbacks, playing nice and straight. The last try for Ali Leotoa, Jerome Luai has to bite in really hard, can't get off. Ali walks in, nice try. Just playing nice and straight, nice and direct, doing your job and holding those defenders. Again, you don't see Penrith concede easy tries like that or walk-ins like that, but they built it up nicely. They played the game nice and square, nice and straight, did their jobs really well, but they did it with the youthful exuberance. They did it with the energy that young fellas can bring. So, yeah, it's one of the best wins for the Warriors, I think, for a long, long time. Under all circumstances, taking everything into account, that was a big, big win for them. And congratulations to Coach Webster and his side. They've got to grow from that. And the young guys will take a lot of confidence when called upon again. But, yeah, Paulie Roach, outstanding when he came on. Did nothing wrong, just did his job and did it perfectly.
I think, what we've missed from the Warriors, exactly the intent and what they ran things with yesterday. When they challenge the line with the ball, that is, if you're running the ball, you're taking it to the line. The option of your back row is running the right lines, but actually turning defenders in. Adam Pompey scores a similar try because everyone's running the correct lines, but they're running it at speed. Tamati's going closer to the line. There's options at the back to play out the Chance on that sweep line. And then Adam Pompey just running. I think Ali got through twice One, he scores a try. The other one, he breaks the line.
Yeah.
And it's just because they were digging into the line and playing those options, making defenders actually have to make decisions. Pre this weekend's game, I don't think they've done that consistently enough. Start of the year, we've seen a bit of that. Then they went away from the energy that they had. But they had to have this energy in this game because they were coming up against the Penrith Panthers. If they didn't have the energy, they didn't have an intent in what they were doing, they would have got schooled. Yes, the Penrith Panthers were off. They're dropping balls like nothing. I think there were 10 errors in the first half. That's un-Penrith-like. I watched most of the coaches' press conference. Most of the teams that lost were about 2 minutes 30 in the conference. Normally they get to about 6 to 7 minutes. The lesser teams that lose, or the teams that lose about 5, but on the weekend, Magic Round, 2 minutes 30. So a lot of disappointment, especially at the Penrith Panthers. They just weren't good enough. They didn't turn up. Yes, we talk about complacency. You score your first try, it looked easy as. Dylan Edwards just strolls over, he scores a try easily. But really liked what the Warriors did with the energy, needed to be done. Jazz Tavanga, got to give that fella a mention, come off the bench and hold. He was enormous. Went after the game. And that's what you have to do. Like, went after them with their defence. That's what's been lacking. I think they just honed back on the areas that they're good at and just went up a gear in that area, and that's what they needed to do. He come on, went after it. I think he hit 21 runs for 150 metres off the bench. Enormous game, and everyone just done their jobs.
I think that was one of the areas the Warriors did beat Penrith in as well, was on the bench. Their bench was so much better.
Yeah.
And Moses Leota's usually very, very good, but off the bench, pretty passive, I thought, for him.
Yeah.
How about that hit from Pompey on Jack Cole as well? That was pretty funny. When he destroyed his intestines and all that, and he just had to have a chunder on the field.
Yeah, vomited everywhere.
So good work, Warriors. I'm not really a Warriors fan, but Dylan is a Warriors fan.
I am a Warriors fan. Hey, just one more thing. I just want you guys to touch on some of the character that it takes. Like, a lot of young guys in the team to get up for that game, but also touch on the leadership side, because obviously there are only a few. There's a lot of adversity. There are only a few leaders in there left on the paddock. Can you just touch on what that kind of means, the character it takes to get through a game like that with all that adversity?
Yeah, I've played in a similar game for the Warriors. We played against the Melbourne Storm, and we were down on troops. I think Tory Harris played in the 6th position. I was inside him as a back rower, and we should have won that game on the day. I think there was 30 seconds to go, and the ref gave them a penalty pretty much just to the right of the post, and Cameron Smith kicks the goal to win it. And I think when it comes down to those games where you're down on troops, it actually, I guess, simplifies your role, and it makes your role a lot clearer as a player, because you don't have the experience of the players around you to guide you through those things. So if you get your direct messages from the coach, normally it's run hard, tackle hard. Run hard, tackle. It's a simple message like, get your job done, and I just want you to run the ball as hard as you can. And when it's time to defend, make your tackles. That's the real simple message. Because I guess, like you said, there wasn't too many leaders out there. The captain goes off really early in the game, and a lot of the tackle most probably would have come off him as well, but they had to change that up. Mitch Barnett, obviously been a big part of the Warriors, and he's a leader out there. So a lot of yesterday, and when you play these games, is action-based. It's not about the talking, because you're down on troops when it comes to leadership. It's action-based. It's what are you going to do individually to bring to the team that's going to inspire your teammates. And I think those are the efforts that we saw yesterday. The tackling from Jazz coming off the bench, the intent that Mitch Barnett runs out, I guess the enthusiasm of these young kids coming on the field, and then just getting your job done, Paul Roach. So really important in these situations when you play in these kind of games where you're down on troops. It's just to simplify your role and then get your job done and then go up another gear.
The big moment for me was when Isaiah Yeo strolls in and scores. And you could easily think, and Blair alluded to it, the fans would have been happy with the Warriors at that point. Had they not gone on and won it, geez, they were spirited today. But I thought at that time, the guys like Dylan Walker and Mitch Barnett really stood up behind the post and said, we've got a couple of minutes here, we can still get this. And the young fellas and their exuberance and their youthfulness just, let's go. Let's have a crack at this and see what happens. What happened? they got the win. So I thought that was a big moment, a big turning point for the leadership, but also for the young guys to say, all right, we'll challenge you. And I'm sure Penrith had a bit of, hey, we've won this game now with Isaiah Yeo. And the Warriors had a little bit to say about that, and good on them.
Yeah, even as a non-fan, when I was watching...
You're a Penrith fan though, aren't you?
Well,
You're a Tigers fan,
New South
St. George fan,
New South at the
Redcliffe.
moment, but I was eating McDonald's at the end of the game,
nice.
And my McChicken was tasting like hopes and dreams when Tane scored that try and converted it.
Hey, just quickly, at the end of the game, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. It's that they take the 2 points.
Yeah.
You're not a fan. What are we feeling as fans watching the game? Anyway, I like me and my little fella were sitting there. He's going. I look at the stats and watch this kicking through the game. I thought, yeah, we're a chance he's going to miss this.
Yeah.
Did you guys think the same?
I thought he was going to miss.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they panned out to the wide shot and I saw how far it was.
Yeah,
And I
quite
thought,
normal,
far
eh?
oh, this is a fair way out here.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of confidence in Dylan Edwards in that moment.
I thought it kind of looked like it went over from the side. And I was like, oh, man, I really thought it was going to miss. And then the commentator was like, he's missed. And I was like, oh, he did miss. So, yeah.
Okay.
Disappointing, but
Disappointing.
golden point is like pretty mean. But anyway, let's move on to the only not close game, I guess you could say, of the entire weekend. Because all of the ones up to that point were separated by single-digit score lines. And then the Eels just had to play against the mighty Melbourne Storm and lose 48-16. I mean, man, the Eels are doing it rough right now.
Yeah, well, they're the new team that everyone's going to be talking about this week when it comes to pressure on not only the players, the team, the coach.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what the Rabbitohs are going through. Everyone knows what's happening over there. Well, don't know exactly, but the way that they're playing and their performances. But with some of the players that the Parramatta Eels have, like, they should be playing and have a little bit more respectable score lines than what they're giving and dishing up. I just, you kind of always thought the Storm were going to run away with this one and clean them up. And I think they're struggling to find some consistency and some form individually and collectively as a group. I don't know what Coach Brad Arthur's going to be asking these guys to do or be doing. Again, and I heard Todd Payton speak about it, and when you're under a bit of pressure, the first person you look at is yourself and how you're doing things, whether it means your demeanour around the club, whether you're kicking stones on the ground after the game's lost, whether it's your approach to training, it's your video sessions. You start looking at yourself first, and then you try and tick all those boxes first and ask those questions and deepen within yourself. But you have to kind of be honest with your performance as a coach. And I think and at this time where they're struggling, more importantly now that they look within each other and find ways of how to get out of this problem, because, man, you can't rely on Mitch Moses to come back and turn this around. I think there's some good players out there that are playing well. I think Blaze is putting his hand up to do, to take on a position wherever he's been asked to do, and I think he's trying his butt off. Not saying not everyone is not trying their butt off, but I just don't think as a group they've been good enough. Dylan Brown, a lot of pressure on Dylan Brown and what he can deliver, and I don't think collectively as a group and individually they have delivered. So, the Storm just keep marching on, and this is what they do. They put away these teams that are struggling. There is no mercy when the Storm play teams, no matter what the history is or where they're going the week before. It's you turn up, you get your job done, and whatever it looks like, 48-16. They were just too strong for them, and the Storm obviously lose Cameron Munster, which everyone's heart was in their mouth, and the way that he walked off, Queensland. Man, I think Queensland's got some great depth when it comes to halves. You know what I mean? Like,
We'll be right.
I think Cameron Munster is a big loss, but I think there's guys there. You got Ben Hunt that's sitting there, who's a 7 for the Dragons, who is quality, who's been in the big arena, and then you got Tom Jaydn, who can fill in a position wherever you need him to go. Because between him and Ben Hunt, I think they're quite similar players. They're competitors. They go after it. You got Ezra Mam if we need to. So, Queensland are sweet. Billy Slater's got this down packed. But when you think about, this performance from the Storm, normally this is what they deliver. Magic Round. They don't lose too many games up there at Suncorp Stadium. They love playing at Suncorp. But the Parramatta Eels, man, are under the spotlight this week for sure.
The biggest concern and disappointment for mine is the regression of Parramatta since they made the grand final. I think they were the first team to make a grand final and the next season not make the playoffs. And they've just gone further and further back now. And some of that, the age of their squad, some of that staleness, maybe the coaching. There's a time for a change. Only the board and those internally really know the true answers to some of that. But that's been the disappointment. Sean Lane was outstanding that year, but been very, very disappointing since then. You know, and a lot of them haven't been able to get anywhere close to some of that form that got them there. And that's what they've got to try and get to and just try and pick off the next one. I think it's going to be almost impossible for them to make the playoffs at this stage already. But they can't just dismiss as the season gets harder and harder. But the Storm, clinical. Craig Bellamy just keeps doing it, a bit like Wayne Bennett. He just knows how to churn out his team to get the wins and get the performances, and it comes at a cost, unfortunately, for the Storm. And we've still got to wait and see how significant the injury is to Cameron Munster, but he'll be a big, big loss for them. He missed a big chunk of the season at the start, but they were still going okay. They'll chuck Nick Meaney or someone else in there to take his place. No doubt they'll step up. But yeah, big one for Queensland to wait and see. But we've got some people waiting in the wings. If that was you, blokes, you'd be whinging all over it, eh?
Hey, we'll get on to what we think of that in a bit. But just before that, I just want to touch on young Stuart playing his second game at fullback. Thoughts on him? He seemed to have a hand in pretty much all the action. If he wasn't finishing it, he was setting it up.
Yeah, and that's what Stuart can create, eh? And again, like we've said, with every player that comes in, some consistency around playing, some confidence around he's doing. And I think I spoke about him always, because he always wants to beat players. But I thought yesterday he actually used his skill to actually beat players as well by setting up other players. So it's good progression for him. It's great to see guys, I guess, something that he knows he needs to work on, or the club knows that he needs to work on, and then put it into action and play on the weekend. I thought, from just getting the ball and trying to beat players, which he's good at, he also had the ball and used his skill with his pass, but also his feet to get on outside defenders to be able to put your centres or wingers or whatever through the middle of the ruck to do his thing. So I think good for him. He's slowly building. The more consistency he can get on the field, the more he can use his skill, his speed. There's going to be times when you're just going to beat one-on-one, and I think back yourself, go after it. But when there's opportunities, when you've drawn in a centre, just go boom, hit your centre, try time.
And we've spoken about some other players that could do with going to that system, but he's in the perfect system for him to develop and learn and grow week after week through the coaches and the people that he has around him. But he's a really astute student of the game too. He wants to learn. He's a sponge, and he takes all the information in. So you can see he's taken a lot in already in week one from his first start
I reckon
to now.
he heard us.
Must have.
We said that,
Good boy, Stuart.
Good boy, Stuart.
Give yourself a chance. Good boy.
Samoa.
So yeah, he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better because of his surroundings and what he's in, but also he's going to give himself the best chance to be better.
For sure. Last game of the round, Dolphins versus the Tigers, the return of the hammer. We talked a lot about Trey Fuller when he was playing there, and I was kind of hoping, the hammer wouldn't go too hard on his return, so it would look like Fuller could come back next week, but he went hard and he scored 2 tries. He ran 234 meters. I mean, they didn't miss him desperately, but now that he's back, man, the Dolphins, they're solidified right up the top of the table now.
Yeah, well, he was the difference, I thought. The way that it's a speed that obviously puts pressure on defenders, eh? So every time he's at the back of a play, with the way that their spine is playing at the moment, and the way that they can take the ball to the line and engage runners like we spoke about with the Warriors, with his speed at the back, he's got the option to either take him on himself because someone's done their job and they've turned into the lead runner, or he can use his feet and then pass the ball. And I think, man, when that guy is at speed and he looks like he's just guiding, I think, man, he is hard to stop. And I like what he brings. Again, we talk about Trey Foley and what he's done without Hammer being there. But when Hammer turns up, I think that gives confidence and makes them a harder team to defend when their spine's playing so well, when they're taking the ball to the line, when you've got someone at the back with their speed that can beat you with speed, but also can execute a pass as well. So a tough day at the office for the Tigers. They've got an issue at the moment with some discipline, and they're getting sin bins every weekend, which isn't helping the cause for where they are. I know no one's really talking about the Tigers because I don't think too many people are expecting them to be or do too well. But what's hurting them is them and their sin bins, and they're their own worst enemy at the moment. They've got good players through the team, and you can see them trying their butt off. But at the same time, you can't defend in this competition with one less player. And when you put pressure on the people around you, then it puts pressure on the team. And, someone like Jocelyn Olam, I thought, played really well. Always hard to handle anyway. We know what he brings, but you can't win a game on your own, and they need you need your 13 on the field for that 80 minutes. And they can sort out their discipline. And some of these moments where I guess the Hammer ran the length and scored a try, like you cover that up, you put yourself back in the picture when it comes to competing for the 80 minutes. So they have a lot of work to do around the discipline area. I think they can attack. We've seen them attack, but defensively, which we all know wins competitions, everyone's got to be better than that. But the Tigers especially, because we all know what the Dolphins can bring attack-wise. We've seen what they can do. They've got leaders throughout their team, and they've done it a fair bit without some of their key signings as well on the sidelines. But they've got enough experience on the field to get jobs done, and you add Hammer into that, and the 2 tries that he can score, well, it just blows the score out.
I think they'll be very grateful that they had Hammer yesterday because they weren't perfect.
No.
They weren't perfect, the Dolphins, especially Herbie Farnworth had a disappointing afternoon. So they needed someone like Hammer to really take the bull by the horns and put the team on his back and come up with those highlight moments, which he did. And we were talking about it before. I love his running style. It looks like he makes it so easy to run 16 metres faster than anybody else. It's his stride pattern, how he glides. You got someone like Adokar who looks like he's running fast. He's a sprinter, but Hammerson Fifita just glides across the grass and nobody gets close to him. You think someone's going to get there because he's cruising, but no, he makes space and gets away from defenders. So, lucky they had him in their side yesterday, and it's great that he's back in the game. The Tigers, for me, look quite individual. They look like they're waiting for one player to come up with a special play, whether that's Galvin, whether that's Olam, whether that's Olakau'atu trying to come up with a big run. They're just hoping that somebody comes up with that big play. And it's tough to play. Sorry. Utu Commander. I see your face there. Stefano.
Sorry, my bro.
Sorry,
I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, Stefano Utu Commander. Waiting for somebody to come up with a special moment, a special play that can create something to play off the back of. They're not playing the pressure stuff. The discipline definitely doesn't help. Brett Naden had a brain fart yesterday.
And it was right just before half time too. Like those things.
He had a brain fart, and Benji rightly so gave him a spray. And you're not helping your cause by doing silly things like that. Frustration or not, you got to show some self-discipline and some self-control.
Yeah, so that was all the Magic Round games. A pretty good Magic Round. It delivered again. The final recorded attendance number was 149,196 people. So that's a lot of people.
Outstanding. I think they were hoping to get 100,000, but 150,000 nearly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome.
What I like, if you're the lucky ones that could attend those games that weekend, man, you're blessed to be in the game of rugby league and to be able to support your team. I think just before we go on to our origin stuff, which is the most important part, isn't it? The Warriors fans, I heard them chanting through the game up the Waz, which is, man, wherever they go, and I've been a part of the team before, wherever the team travels, no matter if it's Sydney, wherever you are, Brisbane, Queensland, back home in New Zealand, the fans turn up in their numbers. And I think there was times there, especially when he was kicking the goal, Edwards, I think I heard some booing, which is outstanding. I think, the Warriors fans are passionate. They're all still behind the movement. Everyone's saying, where's this movement gone? Man, the fans are an important part to what the Warriors do and what they have created, because if you can follow them here in New Zealand, where they're getting sold out stadiums at Mount Smart, Go Media Stadium, but then go over to Brisbane in a Magic Round where there's every other club there, but then turn up. I think the 150 game, 350 for us here, works out perfectly for the fans. It's a great way to start the afternoon, beautiful afternoon in Brisbane and Queensland, and then it just rolls into the other game. So, man, massive ups to all the fans that turned up and chanted, up the wahs and after the game. Shout out to Dallin as well, 200 games, man. I saw his whānau up there huckering as well. And that's what, I guess, culture is about as well for us Māori people. And for anyone and I spoke about Quentin Pongi and the Māori boys doing a haka in the dressing rooms after the game for the respect that these guys have in the game, but also milestones. So massive ups to everyone involved in the game, fans, NRL. How good. This is our channel.
Yeah, next year, hopefully, a bit of a sponsorship. Maybe we could go
get up
over to
there,
Magic Round.
Cars, if we don't get up there, bro, I'm done. I'm out.
We out.
If we don't get up there, bro,
if you're done, then we're all done.
I'd say Brisbane's the perfect place for it too.
Yeah.
I think they've agreed another 3 years
Perfect.
to take it back to Suncorp. I think the weather, the city, I think it's perfect for everyone to go. And then I know some people that I knew were trying to get back home to Brisbane last week, couldn't get there because the flights in the airport was just chockers with fans going to Brisbane and then coming back. So a big sign that the Warriors fans are following, the rugby league fans are following the game, and I think it's a really big piece of the calendar now. I think all the fans, they're shown by their numbers how important it is, and a real big celebration for the game.
Yeah, it's quite a special thing as well. Like, other codes don't really have that, It's such a great thing for the NRL to set up. Saw down in Caxton, all the Wires fans up on the balcony singing, doing a waiata. It's pretty special.
And there aren't too many things that the NRL has taken off Super League, but I will say that when Super League started this in 2007 in Cardiff, there were some questions, and Super League still haven't really found the right venue. They've been in Newcastle for a little while, but the NRL took the concept and they've run with it, and they've really shown how big it can be. One thing I do love, though, that I didn't realise last week, was the reserve grade of the New South Wales Cup have their own Magic Weekend. And that was at North Sydney Oval last week, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. And I help assist in the coaching ranks at New South Wales Cup, and if they got up against the Penrith Panthers, who, again, if your top grade's depleted with injuries, then your New South Wales Cup guys are depleted with the players because they're all going up. So if you look at the 23 at the NRL level, a lot of those guys are coming through the New South Wales Cup. Tainto Piki's the number one for New South Wales Cup. Ali and Adam Pompey have been the centres for New South Wales Cup. Paul Roach has been a 9/half, and Tamari Martin, Chanel was back there. But again, when you talk about depth, and yes, they've been challenged, but to be able to, for the Warriors this weekend, a tough effort from every single player involved, from New South Wales Cup into NRL, to be able to perform up against a quality club as in the Penrith Panthers. They both played the Penrith Panthers, and the boys got up at New South Wales Cup 22-10, which was an outstanding effort. A lot of those boys are coming from the SG Ball as well and filling in. And stepping up to the mark in our Jersey Fleet team. So a credit to everyone that's in those pathways, and you just never know when your time is up. When your time is ready to go and get on the field. So you always got to be prepared. You always got to make the most of your opportunities. And when the moment turns up, go after every single minute, because the pathway is there now. You can see your mates going forward to the NRL. This is where it leads you to.
So we'll move on to how we're going to end the show, which is by picking our picks / really your two picks, not necessarily me and Dylan's, but for the Origin teams, both of them. So
how are you going to format this, Ephraim?
I'll start off by just reading you off the names in each position, and then you can discuss who you reckon it's going to be. So I reckon we'll kick it off with Queensland.
The winning team.
Because I've chucked in a few names here who I put in the team already because I assume that there's no way that they don't, provided no injury.
Yep.
So actually Munster is one, but he may need to be replaced, obviously, with his injury. I've chucked in Walsh, Reece Walsh, Daly Cherry Evans, Harry Grant, David Fifita, Pat Carrigan, and Ben Hunt are all on the team already. So we'll start with the two wingers then of Queensland. We've got Xavier Savage, Xavier Coates, Murray Taulagi, and then perhaps Selwyn Cobbo as well. Who are your guys' picks for the Queensland winger partnership?
I've got Xavier Coates as a certainty.
Yeah.
He's definitely on one wing. I think the way he's been playing, and I know Blair loves him as a centre, so do I, but I think at Queensland level, I think Selwyn Cobbo gets the... Taulangi's been out for too long. I think he's got to play a couple more games till he gets himself into contention. Again, it's not an automatic one, that one yet.
I think the same. The thing for me is when you look at combinations, centre wing combinations. If you're going for Val Holmes and Taulagi, you know what I mean. Like that's, I guess that's the detail and the specifics you go into when you're selecting a team. Is that yes, the Cowboys aren't going well, yes, but those two have done a job in Origin before, so you could be comfortable, and Billy might be comfortable with picking Taulagi and Valentine Holmes together because that they play at that level. But if we pick in on just form, I'm saying Cobbo and Coates in the winger positions because I think, you know, what they're doing right now, and they've done a job for Queensland, and I know that, you know, Billy Slater and Queensland always are quite, you know, straight down the line on this is what they've done. They're loyal to their players, but he's also open to making those tough decisions. Hence, you know, Kalen Ponga's missing out last year. So yeah, those are my two wingers.
Sweet, Coates and Cobbo it is.
Like you can't go wrong.
No, I don't think so. No.
Like if you say if I'm just saying Brian Tall is the winger, you're kicking all day. You know what I mean? Like he competes for the ball. I'm not saying he doesn't compete, but you've got Xavier Coates who's the man at catching balls in the air, but you also got Cobbo who can catch balls as well. So you got targets each side on the wings. They're going after that high ball, bro. Good luck. New South Wales and Eels.
How about, do you guys have an outsider who might be that third in the ranks who could potentially make it in there, a flyer? Outside of Cobbo and Coates?
Well, Taulagi is the next one up for me.
Yeah.
Anyone not mentioned?
No, I think those are your two wingers, and if he decides to go with Taulagi, then I'm not saying that's a bad decision anyway. But I think purely on what these two are doing right now for their clubs, Coates and Cobbo, like if and I know Billy Slater and the old time at Melbourne, the targets were the wingers, and these guys can catch balls, so they'll
for sure. Well, so the centres then, I've got. There's two spots to fill with three guys, really. The Hammer, Val Holmes, and perhaps the return of Dane Gagai. Who are you guys having as the two centres for Queensland?
Yeah, I'm going Val Holmes and Tabuai. I think
All right.
they can get a job done. I would love to see Dane Gagai get back in there, man. He has done nothing wrong at that level. I think what he was 21 games consistently played at Origin level. He's not going to let you down. So I think if you do go for Valentine Holmes Hammer, if there is any injuries, someone like those guys, can come back in there and fill the spot because, Dane's a leader at that level, has done nothing wrong. But I think he's played at wing when he's played Origin. So that may be where, the difference is.
He's played a bit of both.
So he's played a bit of both, but I think he's been the most successful when he's played on the wing. Tough, brings the ball back hard, but really good. So
and obviously Walsh has his knee problem that made him miss this week. So who knows if he misses up to then, you could
Kevy's
shuffle
playing
things
tricks.
around.
He's just keeping him ready for Origin time, old Kevy. Well, just good on you, Kevy. So that's my belief.
I've gone Hammer. I think he's been ultra reliable and fantastic in the centres anytime he's played for Queensland. And I've gone for Dane Gagai.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real taken by Val Holmes' form of late. I think he's been a bit rusty. But Dane Gagai has been outstanding. I think he's been very, very good for the Knights. We talk about Ponga being out. He's been one of the guys that's really stepped up for them. Disappointed that he missed out last year, but it was one of those big calls that Billy had to make. Such a great servant to Queensland over the last couple of seasons and couple of series, and really stood up every single time. And I think he'll do it again. He gets my nod.
Yeah, I think, my reasoning behind Val Holmes is last year Cowboys were pretty much in a similar position. They weren't playing consistently.
Yep.
They were pretty poor, and Billy stuck with Val Holmes and left Gagai out for that reason. But I would love to see, I'd love to see Dane in that position again, because I don't think he'll let you down and he'll go after the game. But those are mine, those are Willie's.
Yeah, the other one are probably for Val Holmes, goal kicker.
Yeah, and I was kind of quickly looking at that as well when I put him in as who kicks goals for him. And again, they scored a lot of points at the start of the season. He was kicking well. Haven't really got into those heights again, and I think he might have, at times, he changed up the kicker on some side of the field.
So if we have to pick one for the run it straight team, who are we going, Gagai or Holmes? Or do you want me to pick out of your two choices as the top expert?
I would probably have to go with that. That's probably the deciding factor, the goal kicking then.
Yeah, goal kicking, so Holmes.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Well, the other thing too is obviously guys that aren't playing or aren't in form. There's some guys that end up performing better in Origin anyway, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, that's happened a few times.
Yeah, you get them, if you're out of form and you put them around the elite of the elite, they seem to go another level. Hence, Dane Gagai, if you're not performing well at Clubland, but you put them around the space where there's so many talented and quality players, leaders in their own clubs, they go to another level, and that's what they normally do.
Well, how much of that too is obviously if you're in a bad team right now, being in a winning environment just makes you feel refreshed and new again? Yeah,
well, it also helps the club. It also helps the club that you go back to once you go into Origin camp. Doesn't matter if you're a young guy as well. It's the experience of being around the experienced players. It's also being around the environment of the best players, and from there, even if you don't play, you've trained amongst these quality players or these leaders in their own right. You take that experience back and you try and lift your game to another level, because you're like, yep, that's where I want to be. That's what it felt like. I'm going to go and transfer all my qualities that I've just learnt and take it over to my club and go up another gear.
Yeah, generally it's a positive environment.
Yeah.
So obviously the Munster injury. Without that injury, I'm assuming he'd just be automatic selection, Cam Munster. But let's say he isn't going to be fine for that first game. We've got people like Ezra Mam, Tom Jaydn. You said before Ben Hunt could perhaps, instead of being the backup hooker, just go to 6. And then even maybe, Sam Walker's not going to make it over Cherry Evans, so maybe he could play a 6 role in just 2 halves. Who is the backup 6 for Munster?
Ezra Mam for me.
Yeah, bro, I would love to see Ezra play at this level.
Yep.
Because I think Ben Hunt's a 7, and I think he can cover that 9 position for the Queensland team. Tom Jaydn might be the unlucky one. He may sit as 18th man, but I think, I think I think he could go to another level with this game, and he's a big game player. We've seen in the grand final, man, he changed the game for the Broncos until Cleary done his thing in the last 15 minutes. But I think he could be the one that will get that 6th position. I think it'd be great if he can get it, but also great for the Broncos as well.
Sweet, Ezra Mam.
Put him straight indie.
So Cherry Evans at 7, and then for the 2 starting props, I've got here on my list Mo Fotuaika, Christian Welch, Lindsay Collins, Ruben Cotter, and I know Jai Arrow sometimes plays in the front row. So who else is there, if there's anyone that I missed, that could be those 2 starting props for Queensland?
I think you've named pretty much the middles, or the contenders that will take that position. You've
used to looking at the depth of New South. That's why I'm wondering why.
Watching what Queensland are doing.
It's not very deep though, is it?
Instead of looking at your own team, bruv. I think you named pretty much everyone that could play in those positions, and I think they're in a luxury position to be able to pick what they can. I think all of those guys can either start in those front row positions, but also they can also come off the bench. So whichever way Billy Slater sees deemed and that suits the team, I think you got to have Lindsay Collins starting. Whether you have
that's mine.
He'll be one.
Yep.
I wouldn't. Christian Walsh will get a job done for you. Mo Fotuika could be the same as well. And I don't think Fotuika comes off the bench and brings enough. I think he's more of a starter than a bench player. I think Cotter can come off the bench and lift the engine and lift the intensity. Same with Jairo. So I think if they really look into it, I think when you look at it, most probably Collins and Fotuika will be the starting middles.
You in agreement, Willie?
Yep, I agree with that.
All right. So then the back row, David Fifita, obviously locked in, but there's a lot of other ones. Wow.
Is he?
Is he not? Maybe that was just my assumption. Okay.
Man,
I had Jaydn Sewer and Jeremiah Nanai.
Yeah, I had the same. I would go Jeremiah Nanai
off the bench.
and Jaydn Sewer.
Okay.
So
all right.
see, that's why you don't pick our teams. Don't be picking for us, man. Don't be locking in people we don't want to lock in.
See, I thought when it came to Jaydn Sewer, I was going to say what about Jaydn Sewer? But obviously, you guys are way smarter than me. You've already thought of it. Okay, so Nanai and Sewer,
yeah. I think both players are tough. Jaydn Sewer's played at Origin level. He's been riddled with injuries over the last few years, but I think he's playing the most consistent football I've seen in a long time. He carries strong, runs good lines. Nanai's the same as a try-scoring machine. They're both competitors. I think, when you look at back rowers, those guys, when you have those guys on the field, they bring a little bit of, aggression when you see them.
Yeah, they've got a fear factor for a couple of reasons. They're athletic, they're tough, they're strong, run good lines, defend strongly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so that's where both Willie and I go, bro.
Any thoughts towards Felice Kaufusi making his way back, or I don't know, Beau Fermor maybe having a chance in future?
Well, I think Beau Fermor sits in Origin camp. I think you keep learning. You like we said, you're learning leadership qualities, experiencing around these guys, training with them consistently, all those kind of things. I think Kaufusi, I'm not saying that he's not good enough. I just think that there's some guys that are playing really well and they're strong. I think he's been having a few injuries of late. So I think the guys that they can pick from, there's a great list of back rows and selections. Normally something the Queensland team does have when it comes to selections. But those two guys, for me, are the form back rowers that are tough and bring the fear factor, like Willie said.
I think Kaufusi's transitioning into a middle too.
Yeah.
I think he's slowly moving into the middle of the field.
So at lock, hopefully this one's right. I put Carrigan already.
Oh, that's a gimme, isn't it? That's pretty much a gimme.
Okay, and then first off the bench, I have Hunt. So then we obviously have 3 more bench slots to fill. Who's going to fill those spots? David Fifita, I assume. What you said before. He's one of them.
Fifita, I think Cotter has to be in and around there with what he can offer. The thing for me is if you have an injury to the back, how does that all look when it comes to your selection? I think someone like either Christian Walsh or Hopgood, I think, although he's struggling at a team, him and I guess Christian Walsh, where they come with their offloads, are quite similar to what those, but you can imagine having someone like him, Reece Walsh, around the ball. Those offloads, I think, could be a crucial part to trying to break up the defence of the New South Wales team. So, I think it's a toss of the coin between Hopgood and Christian Walsh.
Yeah, for mine too. I think Hopgood, I'm a big fan of.
Works hard too.
Works
He's a worker.
real hard. I like Nathan Brown when he was at Parramatta for his work rate, what he did. He just did everything 100 mile an hour, and Hopgood's taken that role again and stepped up, and being a Queenslander, he's put himself in the position. So I wouldn't be disappointed with either.
Yeah.
But I think for mine, just for size on the bench, I go for Walsh.
Do you think perhaps age, maybe, obviously Hopgood's I think 25. Perhaps picking him because he'll have a sustained career in Origin in future is the way they might go.
Well, I think he'll be in camp. I think along with Fermor, they'll all be in camp, and it'll be depending on, like, I guess Billy Slater will have a preconceived idea on what that team looks like already, with a couple of positions like what we have here left, as to go and who's going to fill up that space, and he'll get confidence with the way that they train during the week, confidence in the personnel that they are, because I guess Billy's a big feeler of, I guess, the person and understanding who they are as people, and then getting to know them on a personal level, but also understanding what their game looks like as well. So I think those two guys will be a part of the camp, or the three guys, or even more, will be a part of the camp, and then he'll make a decision later on who goes into that spot.
So we'll go Welch for our pick then. You said you're...
I'm a Hopgood fan.
Me too, I'm a Hopgood fan too.
I think Hopgood.
Oh, sweet.
It doesn't matter.
You'll go Hopgood.
Hopgood, I think.
Okay, and then just... Who do you reckon's the 18th man? I assume Tom Jaydn.
Yeah, I think so. I think Tom Jaydn, without a doubt.
All right, so
just throwing that in there, with the amount of injuries that we had last year in Origin, do you get a back rower that could potentially fit okay as a centre as well, just to cover a bit of a back space?
Well, Nanai can do that.
I think
Jaydn Sewer can maybe slip out there as well. I think they've both done it at club level before, whether it's been at Jaydn Sewer at the Broncos or Jaydn Sewer where he is now. So I think those guys can cover that centre position.
Yeah.
It obviously makes it a little bit harder, but then you've got Fifita on the bench that can come into that back row. You've got Cotter that can come into the back row.
Cotter played centre last year.
Yeah.
Cotter played centre. So so they're very lucky that they got some versatility in their pack as well.
Yeah,
So
you don't want a Damien Cook situation in the Queensland team, eh?
The other one that may be interesting, and he's done it before, is whether he starts Ben Hunt and starts with Harry Grant on the bench.
Yeah.
You know, that could be a switch around that Billy does. But the question for you, because you know them, he's been very influential in the camp in the last couple of years, but no Cameron Smith this year. How much of a loss would he be to the team, but also to Billy?
Yeah, well, I think, when it comes to, I guess, when you're in part of a coaching staff or you're the head coach, you lean on a lot of the connections that you've made through your career. Obviously, Billy Slater knows Cameron Smith, and Cameron Smith knows their game inside and out, so they know what they want. I guess, again, he's trusting in the guys that he's come around now. Billy Slater's been a key to the Queensland forever in a lot of his game. I guess the people that miss out are someone like Harry Grant, or the middle players around, when to pass the ball and who to hit. But his experience and his wealth of knowledge around the game, I think that's what they miss. I think he's a good dude as well. He's not a serious fella, but when it comes to Queensland, they are so passionate about their state. It's not funny. Billy Slater's exactly the same. So I guess they miss his experience and knowledge around there, but they bring other guys in to cover that space as well. Guys that have done the job, and we've seen them in the past since Billy's come on, and the importance of having guys that have represented Queensland for a long time and have had a big part in what they've created, their success, that they just fall into those positions. So, I think it's a big loss, but I think there's guys there that can fill the spot.
Sweet.
So we done now?
Is that the show? Not quite. And,
I've saved the best team for last, of course.
Because we could be here all day picking this team. I don't know. I just actually don't know who's to pick.
The only three that I chucked in already was Brian To'o, who I assume would be for both you guys,
safe.
Payne Haas, and then Isaiah Yeo as well. So before I get into the decisions, do you guys disagree with those ones?
Nah, I think you're good. I think you're good.
Okay. So we can then talk about one of the favourite debates of yours of the whole season, which is the fullback. It's between Tedesco and Edwards, with Drinkwater would be the next guy up, but I think we all know who we're picking for that one, eh?
I really think Edwards.
Me too.
He's origin made. I think there's got to be an opportunity sooner or later for him, and the time is now. I think he gets in there. He's not going to let anyone down. We've seen how hard he works. He's Mr. Consistent and has been since his inception into the game of rugby league and for the Penrith Panthers. And man, if he doesn't get an opportunity now, when does he get an opportunity? Because and I'm not saying Tedesco's bad form or not a good player, because I think he's a great player and he's done some great things for the jersey, both the state and his country. But Dylan Edwards, for me, has been the guy that's worked his butt off and has been so consistent with everything he's done. So he's my one.
Sweet, defo.
I like
Edwards, we've gassed him up for quite a few weeks now. But yeah, Edwards.
Wait, just throw devil's advocate in there. How much of his selection would be based on who the halves pairing is? Does it matter?
No, I don't think so. I think you're talking about whether Jerome Luai is in there or not. No, I don't think it matters too much for his selection. He's just been the best fullback for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
So on the other wing across from Bizza, some options. Daniel Tupou, Josh Adokar, Zach Lomax, or Joseph Suaalii.
I'm going to take the Samoan player, Willie. I'm going to take Suaalii. I think, man, Origin made tough, carries the ball strong, athletic. You're going to need someone like him up against Xavier Coates and Cobbo, competing in the air, challenging in the air. He loves the physicality. He's a physical player. He's hard to handle. He brings the ball back hard. I watched him through the World the World Cup and playing, and man, he carried that ball back so strong. They're going to need someone like him, and I think he's the man to get the job done. I know he's most probably going on to rugby, but I think you pick the guys that you think's going to get a job done right now and then, and he's the man for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that's the reason why they might not pick him, is that he's going to rugby union.
Yeah.
And I think Madge will probably have an eye on his tenure as the coach for the next couple of years. And for mine, it's Lomax. Lomax for me, there's been a lot of talk about him for a month or so. He's the one I go for.
What's with the stink face, man?
Oh, but if I pick him. Put him in there. I was trying to make their team look stronger, but anyways, bro. I'm trying to make their team look mean, but then we go, Chuck, whatever, bro. But that's my five.
Yeah.
That's my five, and that's Willie's.
I tend to agree with Willie. Actually, I reckon Zach Lomax is in that spot, just from playing out of the position he wants to, and he's done so good, got himself into the conversation. So I'm going to put Lomax.
Yeah, go for it. So when Suaalii comes out in the team, I'll say, I told you guys. Anyways, I could be wrong.
Well, speaking of Suaalii, there's actually another position which he actually plays for the Roosters this season, which is the centres, which is pretty stacked for New South Wales, if you don't mind me saying. Jesse Ramian, Katoni Staggs, obviously Stephen Crichton, Bradman Best if his injury isn't too bad, but let's say it could be. Then Joseph Suaalii, Matt Burton even, Ewan Aitken even, and even Sifa Talakai as well.
Is Ewan Aitken playing back row?
He's playing back row, he is.
Yeah, no, this is my thoughts. I think Crichton's got to be one. And then I think Best is going to be. I don't know if he's going to be fit enough, but if he's fit to go, I think Best goes in there. But I think Katoni Staggs, robust, similar to Best. He's a robust player. He's hard to handle, and you're going to need guys that are hard to handle in Origin. And I think he goes straight in there for me if Best isn't a Hundy. Katoni Staggs.
Yeah, I had Staggs and Best, left and right, but I understand Critter's been playing right side centre as well. But if there's no Best, then Staggs and Crichton for me.
Sweet. So then we'll go to the 6. Which the 6 and the 7 have been big talking points. Everyone loves talking about it. The 5/8s that are available, Brooks, Luai, Cody Walker, Matt Burton, and of course, if Mitch Moses is the 7, then I guess you could put Hines at the 6 as well. Who is going to be the 6 and the 7 as well, I guess, for...
I've got Hines and Luai.
Hines and Luai?
So I penciled in... When I had a look at this, I think Luai's coming into form and he's had to step up. He was good yesterday against the Warriors when he needed to be. But Nico Hines, in the absence of Nathan Cleary, he's the best halfback. Not being given a chance at this level outside of playing an unfamiliar position in the centres, give him a crack. Chuck him in that 7 jersey, see how he goes. Hopefully he can take some up. So hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
Could you chuck Burden into the 6 with Hines?
Yeah, that's what I was
you could
thinking.
do.
Bigger bodies, stronger defenders. I think my thoughts. I actually was going to chuck Luke Keary's name in for the 6th position, but then I thought about the size of these guys and the way that they play. You got a left foot kicker, right foot on the other side of with Hines. I think Hines deserves to be the 7.
Yeah.
But I also think Burden's a left footer. Can play down that left-hand side.
That's why they're lucky with him and Luai, both left footers.
So I think if you think of Burden and Luai, I think when it comes to defence, which in the game of Origin is massive, and that's where the game's won, I think Burton and Hines will be the key components of what they can create defensively, but also in attack.
Also, Burton's versatility. Obviously, they've faced troubles when they've had those injuries last year to Trebojevic and stuff. And Hines was the guy that went to centre and it cost them.
No, don't put him at centres. But I think Burton and Hines for me is the 6 and 7. I
Burton
think that,
and Hines.
you can't go wrong with how strong they have been for their clubs.
Okay, cool. So,
Do you agree with that?
What do you
happy
reckon?
with
No,
that?
I agree. I would have said Burton and Hines.
Would you have
as well.
said Burton?
Yeah.
Not Luai?
Nah, I don't think. I know he's got like no
Kerry?
credit. No, I wouldn't have said Kerry.
Okay.
Luai
Walker?
would have been second up, or maybe even Brooks. I feel like he's been pretty good for the Seagulls since he's been there.
No Cody Walker, the experienced veteran.
Oh, I was just going to say no Cody Walker because
I ain't trying to have him come in and lead the team to bloody 30-point losses.
Cody.
Sorry, Cody, but it's kind
you're
of true.
passionate, cuz.
So Payne Haas is one prop, obviously, and then who have we got for the other prop? There's a lot of props on offer. The Saifidi brothers, Stefano Utoikamanu.
Oh, come on, man.
Did a bit of a willy there as well. Nah. Sorry.
Jake Trebojevic for me.
Yeah.
Jake Trebojevic,
Yeah.
RCG, Junior Polo.
Jake Trebojevic. Again, we speak about the contest of the Origin, and like he's like I don't know how did he miss out? Did he miss out on one of those ones last year?
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he only played one last year.
Yeah, he played the last one, didn't he?
Like, how did he miss out? Like, this guy, he's Origin made too. Like, he defends well, he's tough, he carries the ball strong. He creates, I guess he can ball play as well. So I think, having him linking up through the middle of the park with Yo and Haas, dangerous combination for sure.
Hookers, that's another one. There's Arpi, Damien Cook, Reece Robson, Wade Egan, Blake Brayley, even McInnes and Connor Watson as well. There's a lot of hookers going around. Who should be the starting hooker?
I've got Uppy as captain.
As captain? Ooh. I like it.
Who was the captain? Tedesco normally. Oh, well, Tedesco's out, eh? So I think Uppy's the 9. And there's I think I know that Madge has worked with Uppy before at South, won him a grand final, come on for Isaac Luke.
Yep.
So I definitely think he wouldn't look out of place holding the C next to his name, and I think with what he's done over the last year and a bit now at the Tigers, he's been instrumental to everything that he's done to help the Tigers get to where they can get to. But he wouldn't look out of place with the C.
I think, defo Arpi for the start. We'll get to the bench in a sec, but the back rowers, now this is another one. There's Hudson Young, had that mean game on the weekend, Haumole, Angus Crichton, Liam Martin, Nat Butcher, Tyson Frizzell, Keon, Ewan Aitken, Sifa Talakai, Mitch Barnett. There's so many to pick from who are... for me, it's got to be Haumole, Crichton and Martin as a 3. Whoever 2 of them start and one of them is on the bench, that's who I like. But let's hear the professionals' opinions. I
think Martin's one. Martin's definitely one of those back rowers.
Crichton's my other one.
Yeah, and I would say Crichton as well. I think with it's just big bodies. Big bodies.
On form.
Yeah, and form. Big bodies and form.
Yep.
I think those two, and like you said, Hudson Young. He's obviously he's going to be in and around that space anyway. But I think between Martin and Crichton, you can't go wrong with what they bring to the team. But big bodies and tough competitors.
Yep.
Fair enough. And then Isaiah Yeo at lock, and then we've got a 4-man bench to fill. Who makes it in there? Obviously, maybe some hooker cover. I don't know how benches work, but
Yeah, well, I think typically both teams run an extra 9 on the bench, so Reece Robson will take that position, I think.
Yeah.
You want a couple of middles to jump on there.
Cam McInnes is one.
Yeah, Cam McInnes will be that guy that sits around the middle. I think Mitch Barnett deserves to be in and around the mix. And then one of the Fifita brothers.
Yeah.
I think they have not let the New South Wales jersey down every time that
Yeah,
they've
Jacob
played.
was good yesterday.
Big Jacob
was suspended.
Fifita. So I think between those two, there's some quality players in there.
Yeah.
And for 18th man, do we chuck out James Tedesco or someone?
I think that'll be a kick in the guts for James, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like where do you play him? Amongst these, you know what I mean? It's similar to having Nicho Hynes sitting on your bench. Like if he's not playing in the halves, he's not playing at all. My opinion, because you can't just chuck him in the centres like they did last time. He's either the 7 or he's not playing at all.
Right.
So I wouldn't do the same with Tedesco either.
That's where you might have a Suoli
Yeah, fair. Okay, so Ali then we'll
cover
chuck
pretty
him
much
down there.
everything in the backs.
Yeah, can play a back row position if need be.
Yeah.
You know, runs a good tough line. What do you reckon of your team?
I like it. I can hear that the enthusiasm throughout this New South Wales team and your voices has kind of died off a little bit, which I'm shocked about, to be honest. But we've gone through the team, so I'll just read them back. So for Queensland, we've got Reece Walsh, Xavier Coates, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Valentine Holmes, Selwyn Cobbo. Munster, if he's injured, it will be Ezra Mam, Daly Cherry Evans, Lindsay Collins, Harry Grant, Mo Fotuaika, Jeremiah Nanai, Jaydn Sewer, Pat Carrigan, Ben Hunt, David Fifita, Ruben Cotter, Jermaine Hopgood, and Tom Dearden as 18th man.
What a team, man.
What a pretty good team. And then for New South is Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Stephen Crichton, Staggs, Katoni Staggs if Bradman Best is injured, Zach Lomax, Matt Burden, Nicho Hynes, Jake Trebojevic, Api Coruscant, Payne Haas, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, Isaiah Yeo, Reece Robson, Cam McInnes, Mitch Barnett, and Jacob Saifidi with Joseph Suaalii as 18th man.
Oh, straight up, bro. That's a pretty strong team. Big bodies too, and physical and athletic, I think. And then there's some workers like McInnes that just don't stop working all day. I think if you look at their team, man, we've done a pretty good job at picking the New South Wales team. I know we're not bloody, we don't actually care what happens in the New South Wales team, but
when you look at that lineup, does that look like a Madge type team? Does that fit his philosophy?
Well, I think he's changing what's been going on in the past. So I think you're picking guys in positions, you're picking guys in form, but you're also picking tough players that are suited for the origin.
That's exactly it.
So when I look at that, I think every single player in the New South Wales team, they're tough, hard to handle, explosive, they're fit, they're aggressive. So I think, that's a Madge Maguire team.
Yeah, those are Madge formulas.
Sweet, we're all excited for Origin.
Bro, give us something. You can't be that excited. Are you doubting it?
No. I'm excited, but I can just hear in your voice that you know something that I don't about New South Wales, and it's making me nervous. That's the only reason. When we get after the New South win the first game, you can best believe this jersey will be back on, and I'll be partying in the corner.
Should we do a thing if Queensland win the series? You have to wear a Queensland jersey for the show.
I don't have any Queensland
I'll give you my one, bro. I got one at home. I'll give you mine.
Okay, and if New South win, you have to wear a New South jersey?
Oh, I don't care, bro. The game wins at the end of the day.
Shake on it?
Yeah, shake on it. Come over. Quick.
Tim, bro.
Here's a question.
Come on, New South.
Here's a question for everybody now.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
But serious. Is it time for an Origin game to come to New Zealand?
Ooh, here we go.
I don't know yet. I just don't think. I think if we were to get this team into the competition, I think if we're expanding, then there's an opportunity to bring, because that'll definitely show, I guess, how much fans or like players or what the game represents over here in New Zealand.
Yep.
I think the Warriors have created something. I think if you expand to another team and you run on the momentum of something that's growing down there, I think the Warriors and say the other Christchurch team come together and they build this fan base that are passionate about the game of rugby league. Then I think there's an opportunity, say, when the new team comes in that year.
Yeah.
I don't think ready yet.
Yeah.
I know that the fans are passionate about the Warriors. I don't know how. And I'm not saying I'm not speaking for the fans, but I think I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the game, and I want the game to do well. I grew up half my time in I spent 15 years in Australia. I started with Melbourne and lived in Queensland. Built a good connection with Billy Slater and those guys. Hence why I'm a Queensland fan. I like what they do. I like what they bring, and I played in the younger grades for Queensland, so I'm just as connected as to the game of rugby than I am to the Queensland team. So I just don't think we are deeply as in growth as the Queenslanders or the New South Wales. If you grew up in there and that is your game, because our game over here has been union for so long. The league's only just come in and we're starting to make some momentum and some inroads into the game of rugby league here. The Parto's up and going. But in New South Wales and Queensland, they live and breathe the game of rugby league from the ages of 5 all the way through to their are our fans that involved from the get-go, or we just jump on because the game's critical when you find a team, a bit like when you find a team for the NRL, you know what I mean?
I just don't think we're going to appreciate it the same way as the Australians do,
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Would they?
No, I just think if they're going to take a game they've taken it to Perth, they've taken it to Adelaide.
Yeah.
And they've tried to grow the game, as I said before, nationally. But I think there is a base here. I think there's a hunger for it.
Yep.
Do we have a stadium big enough to cater for it? I'm not sure, because I reckon if we do bring it here, we could get 60,000.
Hey, when we're talking about stadiums, and I know there's a big chat around in the government space around that one coming down in town.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and say that in 3 years' time, when the new team comes in, there's a new stadium in Auckland, right on the water down there. The government's talking about it right now, and if they're talking about it like anything, where there's smoke, there's fire. I think
perfect.
That would be the opportunity to light that up. You know what I mean? Like, man, you put a stadium in there that can hold, 80,000, 100, and then you bring an Origin game right in the heart of Auckland, down by the water. Wowee. So I know all our government people, if you're not watching this, you need to sign on and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you fellas in government, because, man, get that stadium off. We'll bring a bloody Origin game here in New Zealand. It'll be popping off. So, yeah, that's my thoughts around that anyway.
On that note, what about bringing a Magic Round to New Zealand? Is that an option?
Oh, geez, now you're throwing all the questions in there. we asked about Origin, now you're chucking a Magic Round. Well, we've done it with the Auckland Nines.
Yep.
We've done it with the Auckland Nines. And I think, when it first kicked off in New Zealand, pumping. Yeah. So I think there's an opportunity to bring the game to Auckland.
Again, what Blair is saying, 3 years' time, Brisbane's already re-signed and got it for the next 3 years. So maybe a little bit after that.
That is definitely Wayne Bennett-like timing. That is, you know what I mean? Like, geez, so we got that stadium and the new club, the agreements to have it in Brisbane for the next 3 years. Yep. Hopefully in 3 years' time that stadium's built down there. We bring the Origin. We bring.
You've heard it here. 2027 Origin's coming here. Magic Weekends.
Magic Weekends.
It's all happening.
But like it didn't. Well, it wasn't bad that it was here with the Nines. Like, I thought it done a really good job. And again, as the Nines went on, a lot of our elite players started pulling out. Yeah. But the initial thought of bringing it here, New Zealand got behind it. Tourism goes up. You put that new stadium in 3 years' time after the agreement up in Queensland, boom, Auckland, here we come, baby. That's us. Let's go.
Yeah, just do it as a one-off, and then maybe the next few back in Brisbane, but then every now and then you bring one back to NZ, something special, making an occasion.
Yeah, I like I like how we're thinking. It's like I said, it's Wayne-like timing when it comes to a lot of these things that we're saying.
Yeah, but we've got to go to Brisbane next year first.
So when we get to Brisbane, and then we'll go plant those seeds over there, because what we're doing now, we're planting it. We've even reached out to the government saying, hey guys, like, we need that stadium up and going. We can have an Origin game here. We can also have the Magic Round, how good would that be for New Zealand? Because I know the game's growing here, and if we do get another team in New Zealand, even more so. I think that means that it means the game respects what we're creating in New Zealand, which then gives us the opportunity to host these games and show what we can do here in New Zealand. So I think, why not? In 3 years' time, we're pumping.
Yeah, think about all the money it brings in, The government loves money, so,
Yeah, they do.
Hey, stop trying to take the show political. What are you on?
When we can't go to those depths here.
Sorry.
We're just going to stay low key.
Just
When we say blue and red, we're talking about Origin only.
okay, sorry. Yeah.
Anyways, all right, whānau, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can keep this going. Check it out, New South Wales, Queensland Origin List 2, picked by the one and onlys, myself and Willie. Che che.